Good morning. This is Shmuel Hoffman from Entre Filmmaker. Today I want to answer another question, and the question is coming from Nick Ruddle. So Nick Ruddle asked the following. I've just watched your video above. He's probably talking about the how to combat your cheapo competition. You can look it up in the vlog series on YouTube. And I was wondering if you could suggest some good questions to ask business clients before fully engaging with them as you suggested. Usually the first question I get asked is, how much will it cost? This is usually just after they say, I want a video made, just a short one. I can usually field this with what are you looking to achieve? But it always feels like the tail is wagging the dog. And I'm caught up on the hop and underquote massively. Any help would be greatly appreciated. So let's dive into that. That's one of the most common issues. So Nick, let's break it down. So the main thing, we have two things here. First, the client calls you up or writes you an email, but it's mostly a phone call. I think the first thing, as I have outlined before, and if you haven't seen the videos from before, just go back where I go more in details, but you need to vet your clients first. The reason is you want your clients already to start committing to your process, because the longer or the more they engage with you, the more of a chance you have at the end of your sales funnel that they will say yes. Because the psychology is, once people are kind of invested already, then they want to have like a good outcome at the end, because they don't want to see their time being wasted. And that's when I get an email, hey, I need a video and a project. That's why I don't immediately hop on the phone, because now the workload is on me. So I push back, or throw back the ball onto the client and send a questionnaire with 10, 15 questions. So with that step, the client already needs to kind of, to some degree, commit, right? And it shows me, whether he is serious of having his problem being solved by using film production, advertising or not. Because you get also a lot of people who either just have already someone that they just want to compare the price with you and want to just validate if that offer that they have currently on their table is a good offer. Those are the people you don't want, because you're not here in order to just validate someone else's price, right? So that's a good thing. Then the second thing is, after you did all of this, now you have data already in your questionnaire that you then can kind of use in your follow-up phone call. So now to your question regarding the pricing. The pricing is something that you should never, ever discuss immediately on the phone. And I understand that you kind of feel like, well, it feels kind of unethical, to hold back with the price, because if you go in a store, the price is printed almost everywhere. When I get the question of the price, I always try to use an analogy that they can relate to. So if it would go like this. Hey, what does it cost a short video, let's say of 2 minutes? Then it's like going into a car dealership and ask, what does a car cost? It really depends. Do you want a sports car? Do you want a car in such and such color with this type of motor? It really comes down to the specifics in order that I can give you a quote. So what I'm doing here is I always use analogies that a client can relate to in their own lives, because my world of producing commercial films is very foreign to them. They don't know the mechanics. They don't know how much work is involved. So in order for them to understand that, and not that I don't look like kind of a fool or someone who wants to just kind of play a weird game, I use analogies that they can understand. Then the next thing is, what you want to do is you want to collect first from the client also a little bit based on the questionnaire, that what do they want to achieve with. I'll ask what is the number one thing that they would like to get out of the film once it's being published, right? So then they come back to me and they say, oh, well, I would like to sell, with the help of this film, sell more of my widget. What I do often is I ask also, what's your budget? In 50% of the cases that stays unanswered. But what you need to do is, before you give a price at all, you first need to frame it, right? So the frame comes like you need to give over a value proposition. I give you an example. Back then, a phone, like a normal cell phone, was about, I think, $200-300. And then came the iPhone, right? So the iPhone was back then, I think, $1,000 altogether. So if we would be in this client relationship, right? A client comes in and says, what does the iPhone cost? And I say, it costs $1,000. Really, $1,000? But a normal phone costs $200-300. So you have lost already the battle, because immediately the client will kind of block with that price tag that is uncomfortable to him, because $1,000 for the phone from the framing that has been done before, meaning the $200, that keeps him immediately shut down inside. And no matter what you say afterwards, he will not listen really much. But if it goes like this, hey, what does the phone cost? Well, this is a phone that can, make phone calls. It can connect to the internet. It has email. Actually, this phone can do 3,000 things that you normally would need 3,000 different gadgets for. Now you have framed it, right? It does a lot of things. And then I would continue. Well, if you want all of those 3,000 gadgets, it would cost you about $60,000 to buy all those gadgets in order to perform what you want to have performed, what this phone can do. Now you have framed it even further, meaning to say you have given a price tag, what actually the inherent value is worth of this phone, meaning about $60,000, because you can download apps to the phone and they can perform certain things that before the smartphone came along needed to be done by a separate widget, or by a separate device. So now, once you have done the whole value proposition, by the way, it doesn't cost $60,000. It's only $999. Do you see? So I have claimed, or I have shown the client, this is what you benefit, 3,000 gadgets in one gadget, and it only costs you $1,000 as opposed to $60,000. So it's really about the framing. Now, when you sell your films, it's exactly working in the same way. I get also the question like, hey, I have seen a film like this such and such that I would be interested to produce, right? A similar commercial. What was the budget on that one? Then I say, well, this is a different client. Those, where different circumstances, I don't want to kind of meddle here with different expectations, because each client has different preferences. So I don't want to disclose the budget, because your situation will be certainly different than that of the client. So let me do the following. I collect first all the data from you, and then, we get off the phone, and then I will assess, the situation, and we'll make you a budget or a proposal. Does that sound fair? And then you get an affirmative. Yes, of course it sounds fair, right? That's obvious. But you want that the client has a couple items that is, being reflected, or the feedback is in the affirmative. So never, when you are on the phone, give immediately a price. You will always regret it. You always should hang up. Hey, can I get back to you on that? Right? I do this all the time, even though most of the time I know already I have a price in here, but I want to properly frame it. And you can do this only with a really well thought out proposal, and not even a budget. I think a budget is a bad idea, especially for a first time client. So therefore, hold off with the price and let the client just anticipate, and let your competition run into this issue of giving immediately a price. So the last thing here is, if you give a price immediately on the phone, that price will be immediately judged and you have to defend that price. And that's what you really want to avoid. So it would go like this: oh, what does it cost, a campaign like this? And you say, oh, it costs like $30,000. Whoa, that's a lot of money. What are you gonna say here, right? What are you gonna say? There's for oh, well, it takes so much time, and oh, we bring a crew in of 10 people, they all need to eat, and they're hungry, and they have kids, and now you get into the defensive. And now you don't have the upper hand anymore. You always want to make sure that you have the upper hand, not in terms of kind of, how should I say, to fool the client, but that it's kind of an equal relationship. Because what you have to get out of is, or the mindset that usually happens, the person with the money has the power. When that happens, you need to get out of that kind of dynamic, because it's really detrimental to a good working and fair working relationship, because you always want to create a win-win situation. You do good work for your client so that they can make more money, so that you can also make more money. To sum it up, never give a price right away. Wait till you think about it, that you've sent it in a proposal. I know that is the most pressing question of most of the inquiries, but hold firm. You will win in the long run. And also your clients, they might not know it, but they will really appreciate that, because it shows that you have confidence to wait. And again, the more the client invests, the more the client has to wait. Most of the time, unless it's really time sensitive, most of the time a client is appreciative and would rather go forward with someone where they can make an informed decision, and an informed decision needs usually time. If you like those type of little mini hacks, then I would be ever so grateful to subscribe right here, or go to my website, entrefilmmaker.com, entre like in entrepreneur, E-N-T-R-E, filmmaker.com, and over there you can subscribe. And I have something brand new. I call it Weekend Musings, where I send an email once a week with really cool stuff that I discover throughout my weeks, whether it's a cool piece of gear or a new revelation, some new idea that I'm testing. It's basically really a way of taking you along the ride to make my career kind of a better career. And in the end, I want to become a millionaire, and let's see if this works out, okay? So thank you for watching, and I see you in my next episode. Good shooting. Bye-bye.